I think anytime you can put up, 46 points after halftime, and put up 49 for a game, you're certainly going to have a lot more confidence and energy. Felt like, we got everybody involved in the game plan, and we executed the game plan. We got great productivity from our wide receiver room, got great productivity from our running back room, our tight end room. Obviously, we were certainly really excited about how Ryan played as well on Saturday, and so I think there's certainly a lot of reasons right now to be optimistic about where we're at offensively moving forward for sure.
I mean, how big of a moment was it for you, knowing the changes and then to, get the result from your team, knowing that you maybe do things a little bit differently than some offensive coordinators and just get that result?
Well, for us, it's, the bottom line is we still want to find a way to win, and so you leave there and, we fell 2 points short, from getting a win, and so there's certainly reason to build. Certainly excited about what we did offensively on Saturday, but we got to find a way to get one more point than our opponent, and that's playing complementary football, and we got to continue to work and dig to find those 2 more points, and I feel like the energy from an offensive standpoint is high right now. Because guys, we're using everybody on the field, whether it was our wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. We got contributions from every position group, and so guys certainly have a different level of juice about them right now. We just got to continue to dig to find those 2 extra points so we can get away with a win and feel really good about where we're at as a program there.
Thanks, Coach Simmons.
How would you compare and contrast Hudson and Ryan as runners right now?
Well, I think when you look at Hudson, he's a really good athlete. We didn't run him as much early in the year. If we were to run Hudson right now, if we were to give Hudson the same game plan that we gave Ryan on Saturday, he would be able to execute it. He would be able to execute that plan. And that was part of I think the evolution of where we're at is how can we continue to utilize everybody on the field and maximize the ability to force people to defend 53 and a third by 120. We got to be able to get productivity out of our tight end room. We got to be able to get productivity out of our wide receiver room. And so, those were 2 areas that were important to us this week. And, those 2 groups of people really stepped up for us on Saturday. Moving forward, we're going to be able to use both quarterbacks moving forward and have a plan for both. But when you look at them athletically, I think Hudson doesn't get enough credit for how good of an athlete he is. Early in the season, we saw him, be able to extend plays and make plays out of the pocket. And obviously we saw Ryan do that on Saturday as well. Not only just scrambling for first downs, but also in the run game too.
You think you have a plan to use them both this week?
We do. I think moving forward, it's our responsibility as an offensive staff to continue to put our players in the best possible position to be successful. And for us, it's how can we go about doing that with all the available pieces to us.
So it could be using them both in the same game, assuming both are healthy.
Could be, yeah.
What would it mean to this team to score first?
Well, we felt like we were in a good position to do that on Saturday. I think when you go back and you look at the last 2 weeks, we had a good drive going early in the game up at Camp Randall, and we got a holding call, when we were just shy of midfield. Same thing happened here. We get Reggie Love loose in the open field, and we get a run down to the 10-yard line, and we get that run called back for holding. Then we get behind the sticks, and so I think both of those opportunities on our opening drives the last 2 weeks, we had good things going, and it was self-inflicted wounds that got us. And so we got to continue to emphasize and harp on the details and the discipline that we're going to need to be successful offensively. When you look at when we got rolling in the second half, we were behind the chains far less. Early in the first half, we had 2nd and 17, we had 2nd and 21, we had 2nd and 13. We had far less of those in the second half, and I think that's a testament to winning the first play of every drive in the second half. But also, like, our discipline and focus was better in the second half, and I think that led to us having a high level of execution as well.
Have you guys made any alterations to how you're approaching schematically the start of games? Did you analyze whether that was an issue as to why it's just for the past 2 years, even before you got here, this team has played from behind almost constantly?
Yeah, it hasn't been a huge point of emphasis for us. Like, it's, especially the last 2 weeks, we've gone to work on, like, here's our game plan. And then as we get later in the week, like, what are the plays that we feel best about? When we were up in Madison, for us, we wanted to show different personnel looks. We wanted to get different personnel groupings on the field. Saturday at Illinois, we had a different start to the game, philosophically. And for us, it's got to continue to be about how can we take our players and get them in the best possible position to be successful. And that's been our focus the last 2 weeks in terms of how we're going to start games.
When Ryan found out he was starting, what did you see from him in terms of his response with his preparation and in practice and things like that?
Yeah, when you look at, 2 weeks ago when we were getting ready for Wisconsin, he had a great week of practice, had a great week of preparation. We had a small package for him going into that game. When you look at this week, the week getting ready for Illinois, his focus was really high, his energy level was really high. He's got a high football IQ, and that's who he is as a person. Like, if you run into him in the hallway, he's got great juice and energy about him. He's an infectious person, and I think our guys gravitated towards that last week when he knew he was going to be the starter. And you saw our guys rally around him. The first half didn't necessarily translate to points, but the juice and energy was there. And then when we got into a rhythm in the second half, like he was really contagious.
Can you just break down the last 2-point conversion there at Illinois and what needed to be better there for that to work?
Yeah, when you go back and you watch it, we felt like we had the running back in the flat right now on the snap, and I think that's probably the hardest part of the read, is being able to see him and trust where you're ripping that football to. And then we had Max Clare coming open late. If Ryan could have held in there a little bit longer, because they brought pressure into it. We had Max coming late open, and certainly we were going to have we were going to walk in. But at the same time, I think that's part of his evolution and his growth as a Q. Like, in that moment, in that situation, the last thing we want to do is take a sack. And to Ryan's defense, he hasn't been in that situation, and so for us, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow because we didn't get that. We fell 1 point short, but at the same time, it's a great learning moment for him and for us to build on moving forward.
Jason, can you just talk about the decision-making process on the go for 2 or not? Who was involved? I mean, I'm not sure what you can all reveal, but I'm always kind of interested to see about the decision-making process and ultimately going for it, trying to get the win.
Yeah, when we ended the game tied, Coach Walter said if we have an opportunity to go for 2 in the win, we're going. And that for us, like that's exactly what we wanted. From an offensive staff standpoint, we walked through our 2-point play calls. We felt like the one that we had dialed up next would give us the best opportunity to get a guy open right now. And then, for us, so that way you get into that moment and there's no hesitation. When you score, there's no hesitation. Your players know you're going for 2. The mindset's where you want it to be, and we're going to have an opportunity. And when you talk with Coach Walters and you spend any time with him at all, like there's no doubt we're going for 2 because we're in control of our own fate at that point. And as an offensive staff, you can't ask for anything more but to be in control of your own fate. And unfortunately, we came up just short.
Any other question for Coach Simmons? All right, thank you.